Hey you guys, hi, how's everybody doing? Thank you so much for tuning into Carol's Daily Sauce. What we are doing today is we are going over our 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue. This is a book written by Deborah Smith Paguz. We are on a tongue fast, a 30-day tongue fast, in which we are trying to watch the things that we say, watch the things that we allow to roll off our tongue. We have learned a whole bunch. I will put the name of the book as well as the link in which you can go and purchase the book. The book is very inexpensive, probably under $6 or $7. Very good book, very good book. But we'll be going over some things on day 21 of the self-absorbed tongue. So the scripture reference that was referenced is Philippians chapter 2 verse 4, and it reads, "Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others." And this is so ironic because people that are self-centered, for me personally, I'm just speaking for me personally, are extremely irritating. I do not particularly care to be in the company, I guess I should say, of the self-absorbed person, because everything is me. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start like the author started. Pretty much the day 21 is talking about the self-absorbed tongue. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a self-absorbed man in the Bible in the 5th book of Esther. His name was Haman. Haman was a Persian government official. He had lots of money. He had a lot of sons. He had a lot of wealth. The king honored him above many of the other nobles and officials. And throughout his entire life, all he did was bragged and talked about himself, his riches, his accomplishments, and everything that he had. Many people, unfortunately, many people in the world today actually perpetuate the same exact sensitivity. I'm just doing some adjusting, and I didn't want to put my whole hand on it, and I did pretty good. Many people perpetuate the same type of insensitivity. And what I have found personally for myself, being in the company of those that are self-centered and self-absorbed, is that they literally think and feel as if they are the only ones that matters. When you are in conversation with them, when you are doing things with them, the only thing that really matters to them is what is beneficial unto them. So we need to ask ourselves, each one of us needs to ask ourselves, are my conversations always about me? Are they always about my issues? Are they always about what things might offend or hurt me? Am I always talking about my shoes or my nails or my eyelashes or my clothes? A self-absorbed tongue will almost always alienate him or herself from everybody around him. Though everyone desires to be the focus of attention occasionally, to be the focus of attention all the time, in such a way in which you're the only one that's noticing it, you're the only one that's talking about it, that makes being so self-absorbed a problem. Do you find yourself trying to always concern the things that are dealing with other people? Do you kind of like flip the script and make everything be about you? Are you only concerned about yourself? And the mutual exchanges, like in mutual exchanges and conversations, is there a mutual exchange? Are you having a conversation with someone, or are you having a conversation with yourself? Because you can literally be talking to someone else and talking to yourself, especially if you're always talking about yourself. Sometimes people get to the point to where they don't even hear things no more. They completely A lot of times people don't even know, but people can completely cut you off because they're so used to you always talking about you. Y'all, a self-absorbed person as well as a negative person, I'm telling you, those types of persons I really don't particularly care for, because why do you think someone wants to hear about you all the time? I don't understand. Do you have situations where you often compare your situations to other people's, identifying their experiences with yours? Like, for instance, you have someone telling you what they experienced when they went into the restaurant, and before they're even finished telling you the story about what went on with them at the restaurant, you've already got one to top that. Can you just let them finish what it is that they're trying to say? Everything is not about you. We are talking about the self-absorbed tongue. And I'm telling you, there are so many people in life who are so self-absorbed with their own self, they don't even know that they're doing it. Suddenly, you can be in a conversation with someone, and you could be having a mutual conversation where you're talking and then they say something, but all of a sudden the conversation has completely made a U-turn, and it U-turned right back to them. Sometimes you simply have to say, listen here, listen, I really need you to listen to me right now. I really need for you to listen to me right now. If you think that's too harsh, I'm quite sure that you're intelligent enough to find a way in which you can say something to someone that's not offensive. Unfortunately, depending on who a person is and how they handle things, you being their friend, their family member, or whatever your relationship is with them, you should know the way that they're going to be able to accept the way in which you came at them. If you try to have a close relationship with a self-absorbed person, it's like hugging a porcupine, because what happens when you hug a porcupine? When you hug a porcupine, you get stuck. Same thing happens in a conversation with a self-absorbed person, because as you're saying something, they're just poking everything about them. Sad. Self-absorbed people, you guys, make me want to go, whatever. I hate to be in a conversation with someone where you want everything to be about you. We just simply don't need to have a conversation, boo. We just don't. Go on somewhere and have one with somebody that wants to talk about you all the time, because I don't. Sorry. We need to always be aware of the character flaw within our conversation, with our communication. Maybe you said something that was offensive. You need to be aware. Maybe you didn't say something that was offensive, but everything that you're talking about is about yourself. If you find yourself in that position, ask God to make your interests genuinely interested in other people. Disclaimer, once again, that's my mother-in-law's dogs that you hear in the background. Please forgive them. What we need to do is we need to ask the self-absorbed person to give you what we need to do, you and me. We need to ask the self-absorbed person to give their advice or some input, but about something else that doesn't involve them. Kind of like turn the page, flip the page over. Let's talk about somebody else instead of talking about you. It ain't all about you. It's really not. I know I make a lot of eyeball, but sometimes you just have to do that. I don't understand why one would think that I want to continue to talk about them. If that person, the self-absorbed person, he or she is unable to kind of even think of something, maybe you can give them subjects about something to talk about. Perhaps they've just gotten so used to everything being about them, because every time they talk, they're always talking about them. You need to tell them when they first start, quickly say, hey, let's go ahead and change the subject so we can talk about something, because I don't want to talk about you. So when you change the subject to something else, preferably not about yourself, but to something else, so that you all can be in a conversation about something else other than you or that person. Because a lot of times with self-absorbed people, what happens is they're so self-absorbed in their own selves that you could be talking about you and they've turned it around to make it be about them. So if you're dealing with a self-absorbed person, the most smart thing to do, in my opinion, would be not to talk about neither one of you. Don't even give them an edge. Don't even give a rope because they want to be a cowboy. Don't even do it. Okay. Example. What types of things can I give a self-absorbed person to talk about? I'm really sure that interests you on today, as it always does. But did you hear about? Now, you don't have to say as it always does, but you can say, I'm really sure that interests you, but did you hear about? If they continue, you must firmly tell them, I really, really, really don't want to talk about that today. You got to be firm. You may start to sound like a broken record. That's what the writer says. You may start to sound like a broken record, but hopefully the self-absorbed person will get the hint and they'll find out that you no longer want to talk about them. You no longer want them to monopolize a conversation, telling you about what happened to them at work once again, telling you about what they ate, telling you about what maybe their husband or their wife may have said. If you're self-absorbed person, if you are a self-absorbed person and you desire attention or you want that ego boosting nudge, if you are that person, if you're just so self-absorbed and everything has to be about you and you want people to say, oh, your hair is pretty, oh, you have beautiful teeth, oh, you have the most beautiful eyes, oh, I love your voice, oh, you're so this, oh, you're so that, you need to give it to the Lord, because the one thing that I do know is that He shall supply all of our needs according to His riches and glory. You need to challenge yourself to make the issues and the needs of others the focus of your communication, because everything, contrary to what you might believe, is not about you. Give everyone that converses with you, that has conversation with you, that communicates with you, give everyone your full attention. You can't give people your full attention if everything you're talking about is yourself. If you continue on talking about yourself, you're going to find yourself alone. Be wise. Give people your full attention. Ask them about things that they've got going on in their lives, and you will find that the conversation will go further than it would if you continue to make everything be about you. You'll find after a while, you'll notice that your relationships with your husband, with your girlfriend, with your cousin, with your coworker, your relationships will deepen because people will start to realize that it's not about you. So that is it for the self-absorbed tongue. Short, sweet, and to the point. One of the shortest chapters that I've read. Bottom line is everything should not always be about you. It shouldn't. A conversation, communication is when two people are talking. I used to tell my husband this all the time. If you're talking and I'm listening and that's all I'm doing is listening, we're not having a conversation, because a conversation is when both people are talking. If you're talking and I'm just listening, you're the one having a conversation with you. Now, if we're both talking, we're having a conversation. People need to come out of themselves. Everything is not about you. It's really, really not. You know what? You could look so much better, so much more handsome, so much more beautiful, so much more pleasant if you take the focus off of you. The focus can be on you. Don't get me wrong. It can be on you, but the focus looks better on you when someone else is putting the focus on you. You don't need to put the focus on yourself. So that has been day 21 of the self-absorbed tongue. What we're going to do is we're going to read the affirmation for today. I look not only to my own interests, but to the interests of others. Therefore, my issues are not the primary topic of my conversations. It shouldn't always be about us. Okay, so let's go ahead really, really quick, and we're going to talk about day 20. And day 20 was about the judgmental tongue. And I believe I wrote it in this little booklet right here. And so I can find really, really quick 3 little pointers, because that's usually what I do is I go over the day prior, excuse me, and I talk about some things that we can reflect on from the day before. So one of the first things that he did say at the beginning of the chapter was that judgmental people often engage in critical, fault-finding assessments of another person's behavior. Yeah, they do. They judge others by, they judge others by their behavior, yet they judge themselves by their intentions. Think about it. Oftentimes, we can judge the behavior of others, especially if their choice of the decision doesn't match ours. If my decision don't match yours, I'm wrong. Not so, not so. Okay, so people can judge based on rumors, but there's a philosophy that follows that, and it's age-old parental advice. If you don't have nothing to say, you don't have anything nice to say, the best thing is not to say anything at all. We must be careful how we discuss others, because when you speak of others in such a way that is not pleasing to the ear, or that someone can run away with, or that just basically when you talk or speak of someone else, if it's not something that you would say to someone else in their presence, or something that you know would not offend them, it's best just not to say it. The writer also tells us, and this is the last part, and I think the reason I really stress this is because I was in the same situation, my husband and I. There was a popular church that the writer attended. There were rumors that were swarming around the church. As leaders, my husband and I were also leaders of a church. Some of the congregation would come to them and try to drop little hints and little things in their ear to see if they can engage them in the conversation. Same thing happened to us. See if they can engage leaders in the conversation. They would attempt to engage them in a conversation, but what you do is you don't offer any information because you don't want to be accused of passing judgment. Well, that's been it for day 21 of the self-absorbed tongue, as well as a recap of day 20 of the judgmental tongue. We'll come back on tomorrow with day 22, which will be, I'm sorry, that was an ugly look, but which will be the cursing tongue. Whew. Can't wait to read that one. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Carol's Daily Sauce. Have a blessed evening. I hope to talk to you all on a video real soon. Have a blessed weekend, and you guys be safe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.